Hello, students. My name is Suzanne Sweezy. I'm a licensed educational psychologist and the writer of Test Anxiety Tactics Workbook. Okay, and in this course, you're going to be going through the different modules. There are 5 in total to help you conquer your test anxiety, overcome it, go into your next exam with confidence and calmness that will help you score better, feel more successful, just feel better about your testing performance. So that way you can show your professors, your teachers, or those college boards that you got what it takes to be successful in their school, in their classroom, or in their program. Okay, so I'm a licensed educational psychologist. I really focus on helping students with psychology matters in the educational field. I was a school psychologist for 18 years, which is mostly somebody that evaluates students for disabilities, and test anxiety can be considered a disability. It's part of generalized anxiety disorder, or GAD, if you've heard of that before. And then I've also provided counseling services as a school psychologist to children in kindergarten through high school. And then now I'm supporting students that are maybe more high school, college age, or even students coming back to school and being students again. And maybe they've been out of the classroom for several years. And when they're going to take those exams, they're just becoming overwhelmed, cloudy mind, sweating, and a lot of physical and emotional and mental symptoms that are impacting their testing performance. And that's pretty much what test anxiety is. It's where when you're taking that a test, or even when you're studying, sometimes your body, your mind, your brain is just being overwhelmed because of that pressure, because of the stress, because of the rigor of the exam. And test anxiety can occur for all kinds of exams, whether they're writing exams or multiple choice exams. In my business as a licensed educational psychologist, I've been evaluating a lot of students for that LSAT exam. And they're coming to me because they have test anxiety. Sometimes they also have underlying like ADHD or other kinds of anxiety symptoms that are not just occurring during the testing. Test anxiety can get them those testing accommodations like extra time on the test or different formats of taking the test or break that can really help them be more successful. But I want to help cure your test anxiety, or at least like reduce the symptoms, so that not only if you're getting accommodations for your test anxiety, you can get a better performance. Not only if you're getting those extra time that could help you feel better about the test and exam and your performance, having that time pressure off, but actually reducing your symptoms when you're studying, when you're taking the exam, so that you feel confident and better about your performance, and that you really showed that college board or that law school or medical school that you're a very smart person. You can be successful in their school and feel confident about how you did on your exams. Even people without test anxiety are going to feel a lot of stress and pressure. But if you feel like you're getting faint, you forgot how to read practically because your anxiety is just taking over your brain, then it's time to target some of those symptoms and help reduce them. And that way you can take that exam, even if you get accommodations, feeling more successful and have better performance. Okay, so let's get started. There are 5 modules, as I said, and we'll go over the different ones just as like this introduction, and then we'll get started. Okay, so here is the Test Anxiety Tactics Workbook that you're going to be using. You can either download it and fill it out like I am going to show you, like in a fillable form, or you can print it out yourself. That does come with the course. And then also it is available on Amazon. Hopefully I have provided you with a link, but you can just Amazon search it and you can get that workbook copy that is also available. But with the course, you can get the fillable one or the printable one, so you can do it on your computer or print it out yourself. It is like 92 pages around there, so you're welcome to do whatever is going to work for you. Canned writing, but I also like to not waste paper, so whatever you choose, it's your course. Okay, here's just a few parts of the disclaimers, credits, permissions, all of that. And then we'll go into module 1. It's an introduction, kind of just overview of what test anxiety is. And then I'm also going to share my own personal story of when I took my licensed educational psychologist exam just about a year and a half ago. And I felt like I did experience test anxiety, but there were things I did that helped. And just working with my students since I've had this career has really opened my eyes to that students need support with test anxiety. So that's why I created this workbook as part of my business in supporting students. I'm going to share my story in module 1, and then we're going to do a quick self-reflection questions just to kind of gather information for yourself, help you start thinking about your test anxiety and maybe what are some of the symptoms, what are some of the causes, and how it's impacting you. Module 2 is right here. In module 2, we're going to really understand and get to know what is the deal with test anxiety. Why is it happening? I know one of the reasons why I studied psychology and found it interesting and made it my career was because I wanted to know more about myself. And sometimes I wanted to know more about other people as well. Why are they doing that? Why are they saying that? Why did that happen? I was very interested in like depression and anxiety, and it took me many years to figure out that I'm somebody with anxiety too. While I might not have ADHD, if that's something that's impacting you, I don't have autism. Anxiety, I'm going to be able to relate to you. So I filled out a lot of this workbook based on my own experiences with anxiety and test anxiety related to that story in module 1. Module 2, I'm also going to go over some mental triggers, emotional triggers for your test anxiety. How common is test anxiety? We're going to go through a little checklist on your personal anxiety symptoms, and then a reflection. I like to do a lot of reflections in this workbook because thinking about ourselves is how we're going to get through it, how we're going to learn to reduce our test anxiety. I'm going to teach you a lot of strategies here. Some of them are going to be study strategies. Some of them are going to be mindfulness and breathing strategies, visualization. I don't expect or want you to do all of them. They would take up too much time, and I want you to study for your exam. But I want you to learn about them, practice the ones that appeal most to you, and then practice them regularly when you're taking practice exams, when you're going into your exam, the morning of your exam. All of the tools I'm going to teach you, do the ones that you feel like work best for your lifestyle, work best for your personality, you enjoy the best. Some of the other things in module 2, let's get going here. I'm going to focus on internal and external pressures. So we're going to think about, is it my parents that are pressuring me? Is it like a mentor, professor, or is it just all me? I'm putting all this pressure on myself to maybe change my life, change my career, like I was trying to do, or get into the top medical school or law school, get scholarship money. Maybe your test performance is going to help you get money, and you feel like if you don't get that money, you're not going to be able to reach your goals, reach your career goals, get into that school that you really want to go to. So I know there's lots of pressures out there, and a lot of this pressure is what is at the root of your test anxiety. And then module 3, I'm going to go really into some psychology stuff here. I like cognitive behavioral therapy when I'm working with students. And just to really quickly summarize what cognitive behavioral therapy is, it's really thinking about how our thoughts are going to impact our emotions and are going to impact our behavior. And I'll get more into that when we get to module 3. And then we're also going to practice learning about reframing any negative thoughts that we have. And that's really going to be the key to helping you if your cognitive patterns are part of your area that is impacting your emotional health, your anxiety, and it might even impact other things outside of anxiety. How we go into thinking about something is going to affect our body. It's going to affect our emotions, and then it's going to affect our behavior. Maybe we'll procrastinate and not study. Maybe we'll just become so overwhelmed that we quit. And I don't want you to quit, right? Because obviously you're studying for some kind of exam or in a program that's important to you. And I don't want test anxiety to get in your way. Module 4. I'm going to teach you different relaxation and stress management techniques. So there are a lot of video links that go with this one. I put in some QR codes. Also, because these are all PDF files, you can click on the link. It should work. And you can practice these after you're done with the course, or you can pause the video and then practice the strategy. I'm also going to teach you about progressive muscle relaxation, deep breathing, guided visualization, sensory anchoring, and stretching and exercise. So these are all different kinds of relaxation and stress management techniques that you can implement into your life more frequently that will hopefully help you. And again, it's a lot of different kinds. So maybe for one person, breathing is sufficient. They are going to learn a box breathing or 4-3-2-1 breathing. And they're going to just do that 10 times a day, anytime they catch themselves getting anxious about something. And it's going to help regulate their body, get more oxygen into their blood so that they feel calmer. Other people may need to use grounding techniques, right? So grounding techniques are going to be like, I'm a little chapstick here, like feel feeling something, holding on to something that'll ground them back to reality. And that'll ground them opening up and thinking about their senses. What do they smell? What do they hear? And that will calm their mind and bring them back to being able to focus on their studying, focus on their exam, and just feel more calm when they get back to the hard work of taking a big exam. And then I'll go over each one, but that is what Module 4 is focusing on, teaching different relaxation and stress management techniques. Module 5 is all about thinking about your study habit, planning for that exam, doing the things that are going to help you feel prepared for either a big exam, the SAT or LSAT or something, or just how to study regularly for courses. So that way, when you go to take your final exam, you're feeling confident with all the information, all the time you've put into studying, so that you can get that A, get that passing score, whatever it is you're trying to accomplish with your exam and your program. So I'm going to go over some study skills. You probably have amazing study skills already, I don't doubt. And I'm going to just share all the ones that I've done in the past and other ones that I've researched that maybe is something that you're not doing and you'll find helpful. Next, I'm going to talk about the importance of time management and organization. These are called executive functioning skills. Okay, that's planning, organizing. They're just life skills, I think. Using your calendars, really putting it in there. Okay, from 2 to 5 o'clock, that's when I'm going to be studying for my exam. I really like incorporating exercise into my studying. If it's possible, I like sitting on spin bikes, watching YouTube videos, and doing other things and multitasking, because it actually sometimes clears my mind. So that way I can take in the information. And then sleep is going to help cement things into your mind. So prioritizing sleep is an important part of reducing your test anxiety. I'm going to go over that a little bit. And then we're going to go over an action plan for your test day, do some simulated testing conditions. I think that's one of the most important things that you can do is to desensitize your test anxiety, is to practice your test. So however that's going to look, maybe make up a fake test, maybe ask ChatGPT to make you 20 questions from that exam. And then some long-term test anxiety management and resilience and concluding thoughts. And finally, to end Module 5, I have 6 weeks of journal prompts where you can reflect on your progress, reflect on your strategies that work, that don't work. This is all about like a self-help kind of journal prompting, so that way you can make progress. And then finally, in the workbook, I do talk about when to get more support. So if you're having anxiety that impacts your relationships with others, maybe you've become really like recluse and isolated, you don't have a lot of social contacts with people or friendships, you're really just isolating yourself because of your anxiety, your sleep is impacted, your health is impacted, maybe you're coming down with physical ailments, stomach aches, like chronic like IBS. These things are often related to anxiety. So when you can improve your anxiety, your physical condition will hopefully improve, also your relationships. And having relationships and friendships are good coping skills. So getting out there, meeting people, dating, doing things with your children, not just being consumed with studying, is going to help your mental health and maybe also contribute to reducing your anxiety. So it's always good in life to have a balance. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit. And then finally, there's some other things that we're going to go over, but I want you to really reflect on your growth at the end of this course and workbook, and just do like a reflection checklist, and then go through and think about your journey that you took with me on reducing your test anxiety. So that's a little bit of a summary on the different 5 modules. And now we're going to get started with Module 1. All right, welcome to Module 1. And in this module, it's my introduction to the Test Anxiety Tactics Workbook. And I'm going to share my personal story and then go over a little disclaimer to start. Welcome to your journey toward understanding and managing test anxiety. This workbook was created for students just like you, students who care deeply about their future, want to do well, and are tired of feeling overwhelmed by fear and pressure when it's time to show what you know. If you've ever felt your heart race before a test, gone blank despite hours of studying, or avoided an exam altogether because of nerves, you are not alone. Test anxiety is more common than you may think, and the good news is it's something that you can take charge of. Think of this workbook as a companion, like having a therapist or coach walk alongside you as you explore your thoughts, feelings, and habits that show up when you're facing a test. Each section is designed not only to teach you what test anxiety is, but how to help you learn more about yourself, how your mind works under pressure, how your body responds to stress, and how your past experiences may have shaped the way you view your future failure, and how your past experiences may have shaped the way you view failure, success, and your own potential. As you move forward through these pages, you'll gain insight into your patterns and begin to rewrite the story that you tell yourself about testing and achievement. But this workbook goes beyond reflection. It's also about practical tools, research-based strategies, and simple exercises that you can implement in your daily life. Whether it's learning how to calm your body through breathing techniques, reframing negative thoughts, creating productive study habits, or set realistic goals, you'll build a toolbox of skills you can return to again and again. These strategies aren't just for school. They can support you in your career, relationships, and personal growth for years to come, is my hope for you. You are capable of far more than you realize. Test anxiety does not define your intelligence, your worth, or your future. By choosing to work through this book and course, you are taking a powerful step towards reclaiming your confidence and control. You're choosing to face your anxiety with courage and curiosity, not to avoid it, but to understand it, manage it, and rise above it. Let this workbook be a space to explore, experiment, and grow. You don't need to have all the answers right now. All you need is the willingness to show up for yourself, one page at a time. Okay, so here's the disclaimer. This workbook and course are intended for informational and educational purposes only. It is not a substitute for professional, psychological, medical, or educational advice, diagnoses, or treatment. While this workbook is designed by licensed educational psychologists to support individuals experiencing test anxiety, it does not constitute a therapeutic relationship. If you are experiencing significant emotional distress, anxiety, depression, or other mental health concerns, please seek support from a qualified mental health provider. Results from using this workbook and the course may vary based on individual effort, needs, and your circumstances. The strategies presented are tools for self-awareness and growth, but do not replace personalized intervention or support. By using this workbook, you acknowledge that you are taking full responsibility for your mental well-being and understand that the author and publisher are not liable for any outcomes resulting from its use. Let's go on to getting the most out of this workbook and course. Okay, so this workbook is created to be more than something you read. It's something you do. Like any skill building journey, the more time, attention, and intention you give, the more powerful the results. Whether you are working through it on your own or alongside a therapist, or maybe you are a therapist working with a student that you're supporting, or you're doing this course with myself, here are some helpful tips to guide you. Number one, go at your own pace. Okay, you don't have to rush. I know you're like, oh, my test is coming up. I got to solve this anxiety problem, style. Mental health concerns, they take a long time to build, okay? They're going to take practice. They're going to take time to resolve and learn the skills to reduce that test anxiety. Practice the skills. Don't just read them, okay? So reading things, it's not like studying for a test. I'm just going to summarize some of these tips. Whether it's like breathing exercises or thought-challenging worksheets, creating study plans, you got to practice them. Just reading about them, learning about them, it's not going to teach you the skills. So that's what psychology and mental health is all about: learning skills, educating yourself on your mental health well-being, and then taking action and practicing. Revisit sections as needed. So if you're really feeling strongly like you need to refresh your memory about learning the different relaxation strategies or different study skills, a lot of times when I'm learning something new, whether I'm reading a book or watching a YouTube video and it's like a really important skill on like how to make a course, I didn't know how to do that before I learned about it. And sometimes you learn about it it, and then maybe a few weeks or months go by, and then you're ready to actually do it and take action. Your test might be down the road. Reread the chapter, revisit. Oh, when I did that practice test, I was still feeling anxiety. Maybe I need to read module 4 again and try to practice a different relaxation strategy, visualization, grounding, something that I wasn't trying yet. And then if you want more support, you're watching this video, you already purchased the course. I am possibly going to provide some individual coaching for students that have done the workbook, taken the course, and just want some one-to-one time to talk to me and help me figure out their best strategy to kind of personalize how they're going to decrease their test anxiety. Just check my website for if I'm doing that, and there'll be a link in there if I am providing coaching during that month for test anxiety. Okay, now to my story. How I faced test anxiety and passed anyways. I am a licensed educational psychologist. I passed my test. It was a big exam, and you can too. So I'm going to read to you my story. Part 1, Facing the Fear of Failure, My Journey to Overcoming Test Anxiety and General Anxiety of Taking a Test. Okay, fear of failure is one of the most common sources of test anxiety. Many students worry that failing an exam will reflect negatively on their abilities, limit their future opportunities, or diminish their sense of self-worth. For me, I've always had good general confidence and believe that I am intelligent, driven, and capable of achieving anything I set my mind to. And despite being 5'1", I've taken on both physical and academic challenges without a ton of self-doubting, with one exception. About 13 years ago, I learned about the possibility of taking a test that could allow me to find the freedom of self-employment, something that I have dreamt of for myself, often identifying as an entrepreneur, a test that was the path to becoming a licensed educational psychologist that required me to pass just one big exam. It's simple enough, right? One exam standing between myself and my dream of running my own business. But the fear of failure was too overwhelming. I had heard about just vague process for taking this exam. There's no textbooks, there's no study guides, and there's no clear path to preparation. So there's just this long list that's like 6 pages long, posted on a website on the Board of Behavioral Sciences that has all the ethics and laws and everything that's questioned on this exam. I don't know. It's a lot of pages and 500 things. Oh, it could be this topic. It could be that topic. No one has created a study guide. There's nothing. The test is $500, right? So basically $500 to take a mystery test. And worse, if I didn't pass, maybe I would know at least what kinds of questions there are, but I would be able to take it again for 6 months. So it felt very daunting. But what was even more daunting than this crazy exam that there's no information on how to study for or what kind of questions there are is that I had to ask a previous supervisor to sign off on my hours of being a school psychologist under her supervision. And my current supervisor was not a school psychologist or licensed educational psychologist. So I had to seek out this lady that was my supervisor a few years ago, and she was kind of a scary supervisor. I A, didn't want her to tell my current supervisor what I was up to, and B, she was very intimidating for me. So as confident as I feel like I am with a lot of things, like I'm making a course right here, a little video, I make YouTube videos, I make product, counsel students, and I'm always confident going into IEP meetings. Certain people intimidate me. So I procrastinated on asking her for her letter. But what happened is that I just got so fed up with feeling like I wasn't appreciated in my job. I had coworkers that were a little bit mean to me. And it's just year after year of being unhappy and unfulfilled in my job. So I took the leap, right? I contacted her. I emailed her. She had her own little website for being a licensed educational psychologist because she retired from being a supervisor of school psychologists and special education department at another district. And she decided to become this licensed educational psychologist and just do private practice. So I definitely was thinking if she did it, hopefully she'll support me. And she did. She signed off on my paperwork. It was a very friendly conversation. She was happy to help me, which was really wonderful because otherwise I won't be here today. Okay, part 2, studying, facing fear, and overcoming self-doubt. So self-doubt is going to be a big reason why you might have some test anxiety. So I'm going to share with you what I did next. One of the good things that happened after I waited 13 years is that somebody did create a course for studying for this exam. So if you're facing a high stakes exam that feels like it could define your future, I've been there. So once I got the green light to start preparing, I quickly realized that I was placing enormous pressure on myself. And the thought of studying for 5 to 6 hours a day during my summer vacation, because I do get a summer vacation working for a school district, one of, if only, the perks of working in education, I could now study. But I had a lot of anxiety. I hadn't studied for a big exam in a long, long time. So what did I do first? I spent money on that course. The timing was perfect. I had procrastinated forever, and now somebody was out there. She created a course for like $220, and I purchased it and watched her videos just like you're doing now to solve my problem. However, her course was helpful. It taught me what the test looks like. It did have some practice questions on it that every time I took them, I got the wrong answer because it was all about thinking like a licensed educational psychologist and not a school psychologist, which they're different, and doing clinical diagnoses and not educational eligibilities necessarily. So it was a different kind of thinking that she taught in her course. But the actual information that I hadn't studied for in 20 years when I became a school psychologist back 18, 20 years ago, it didn't have all that information. And I felt like, gosh, I don't know. And I don't remember all these psychology things necessarily. I need to refresh my memory. So I took matters into my own hands. So I watched her videos all the time. She maybe had like 8 modules, and I studied and I watched her videos while my kids were at practice. I would get on my spin bike and listen to the videos and have a little pad of paper and take notes. I was just putting it in my mind a bunch of times. So that way, when I moved on to the next phase of studying, I would be familiar with all the different topics that I needed to research and study on my own. And for my type of test, there's no tutors out there. There's no real study guides other than what this one person was offering. So I decided to really do my own research. And I really like videos because I'm a mom of 3. I'm always making dinner and this and that. So I went through my little list of all the information that I figured out that I needed to really learn well in order to understand how to take this test. And I would, put my earbuds in, make dinner, wash dishes, and, find videos on all the different psychology topics that I thought might be covered in this exam. And then I put all the videos into a list and organize them out. And so some of these steps, they're executive function skills on organizing the different topics of your test out. And this is just what I did, but they're really good skills for organizing your studying. So I took all those videos and put them into a little graph. And then each topic, I would watch it and make flashcards from those videos, paper flashcards. And then I took the paper flashcards and then typed them and made real flashcards, because one of my other businesses is selling digital products online. This girl had a little video course. I didn't feel like it was enough information to feel confident taking the test just with what she provided. So I made my own study guide with flashcards and lists of videos. And now I sell that to other school psychologists trying to be this licensed educational psychologist. I think in life, the thing I've learned is I really try to make everything that I'm doing into a way to make money in the future. So finally, I took my paper flashcards and I turned them into digital flashcards that I later uploaded into my Teacher Pay Teacher store once I took the test and could say, I made these flashcards and this video list, and I passed on the first try. And then I sell those now online. I sold one today. It's summertime, so everyone's trying to study. And I'm telling you, I was meant to be an entrepreneur. So knowing yourself, knowing your goals and your passions, listen to your gut. On the day of the exam, I was very nervous. Just like you may have experienced before a big exam, I had trouble sleeping. I had thoughts of failure rushing through my head. I definitely tossed and turned that night before. And then the next morning, some of the steps that I needed to take to help limit unnecessary and avoidable anxiety included getting to that test center very early, a solid hour early. And that just allowed me to have time to calm my nerves, study my flashcards, my paper ones, in my car, and not feel all flustered and having adrenaline and cortisol in my body because I'm showing up only 10 minutes before the test, or late to the test because I got lost on the way to the exam, or my car was out of gas, or all of these things that can happen when you don't prepare and show up early for things. Okay, so once inside, I drank a little bit of water before heading to the test room just to kind of calm my body, prevent dry mouth. I got a little cup of water here 'cause I do get dry mouth from talking too much and from nerves and anxiety. But you don't want to drink so much water that you have to leave the test to use the bathrooms. It's a balance, but it's good to drink a little bit of water before a test. The proctor sat me down, gave me some general directions related to security, and then I began the exam. So I started by reading the directions of the test, and that's where I felt my body like really become flustered and overwhelmed and hot, and the pressure of the test was all over coming to me. But the time hadn't started yet. So I used that direction reading time to actually just read it 2 or 3 times. Take the time to calm my body, breathe it in and out before I started that timed part of the test. So that's a good strategy that you could also use. And then I really tried to do some positive self-talk also, which you'll be learning about. So instead of thinking, if I don't pass, I'm stuck in this job for the next 17 years until I'm 61 and can finally be free, I changed my mindset to I studied, I know this. Even if I don't pass, I could try again because I'm very determined to change my life. Okay, so when I started the exam, the first few questions were very rough. That's when definitely my brain was like, And then I started to feel a little lightheaded. My confidence was going downhill with maybe the first like 3 to 5 questions. For all of them, I clicked that button, like, come back. I'm going to come back to that one because I was like, I don't know. I did like chew on my shirt or sweatshirt collar. That was just something I did. Maybe it was grounding. I don't know. It kind of helped me get the nerves out. I couldn't bring like gum and I couldn't bring food or anything, and I had to leave my water outside. So that is what I did. I chewed on my sweatshirt collar. And if you need to do that too, just go for it. Nobody's looking at you. Do whatever you need to do to calm yourself so that you can focus your brain and remember how to read English. I thought I was doing a good pace on this test. Once I got going, there were ones where I felt confident. I was like, okay, I definitely know that one. I definitely know that one. Okay, that one, yes. Okay, that one I'll come back to. I probably clicked out of 125 questions, I had clicked like 30 of them to come back to. And I only finished with 3 minutes to spare. So going back, I was definitely very anxious with coming back and going through those. But I went all the way to those ones in the beginning because those are the ones where my brain was not quite working yet. And I was just too anxious and hadn't settled into the test. So I went back to those ones first. And when I read through them, I actually said, oh, okay, I like that answer. I like that answer. Oh, okay, I think it's this one. And then I finished the exam. I definitely didn't think that I passed because, that's what, when we have these negative thinking patterns and anxiety and stuff, and it's a hard test, right? Sometimes negative thinking comes over. But during the test, I felt like I was gaining confidence, but I had to pass like 70% or something, which is kind of a low percentage. So I should have just thought of that and been more confident. When I got out of the exam, the lady printed out my results, which that was nice. I didn't have to wait like a week or two or longer to find out how I did. And she folded it in half. She pretended like she didn't look at it and she passed it to me. And then she was like, you can't look at it until you're out the building. And I was like, yeah, Lee, okay, yeah, see ya. And I went out the door and I waited and I went to like a staircase and I looked at it and I saw that I passed, but then I saw that I didn't have my water bottle. So I went back, got my water bottle, and then she said, congratulations, because she looked. And I said, thank you. And as I was walking out the door, I was feeling just so relieved, so amazing that I passed this test. I passed somebody else in the hallway that was looking really nervous and anxious about his exam that he was going to take it was like a testing center. So anybody could have been taking any kind of different exam. And I just said, like, good luck, you're going to pass it. I passed mine, and it was a crazy exam with hardly any study guides, and I just figured it out on my own, and you're going to do it too. And he said, thank you. And he seemed like he felt a little bit better. So that is my story. I definitely went to my car, texted my husband. I said I passed, and, I was crying because it was really important to me to get going on the rest of my life I didn't know when I took that test that I'd be making a workbook. I didn't know I'd be making a course, but I definitely think that life is all about just one step at a time. Face the challenge that's in front of you. If it doesn't work out, don't give up. Or maybe sometimes when things don't work out, they lead you in a different direction that was better for you anyways. Maybe sometimes when we don't pass tests or something doesn't work out, another door opens. I can share that I'm testing all of these students right now for the LSAT for getting testing accommodations. And I actually took the LSAT back 20 something years ago when I was done with college, and I did a psychology major. I liked psychology kind of, but I just didn't know if I wanted to get my PhD or maybe do something else, like go to law school. So I took the LSAT, and I remember it being very challenging. And I probably didn't do well, but I probably also, I know I did take a course. I had like a little workbook studying. So it was kind of like let me just see how I'm going to do on this test and then decide what I want to do after college situation, which might be what you're going through right now too. It's very common. Apparently my husband studied for the LSAT too, and he's a respiratory therapist. But I studied for the LSAT, I took it, and I didn't do so well. I maybe applied to 1 or 2 law schools. I didn't get in. And so I went back on my path for psychology and became a school psychologist, which I was happy at for many years, but it's kind of become a harder and harder career. And I'm just old and I want to work for myself, right? So that was my story. I hope you enjoyed it. And now we're going to go on to my goal for you for this workbook. My goal for this workbook for you is the goal of the Test Anxiety Tactics Workbook and the program is to help students in high school through college understand the roots of their test anxiety and then apply them to their knowledge to help them learn real, practical strategies to overcome it. Whether you're someone who gets severe physical symptoms, second guess every answer, or spirals into negative thinking before a test even starts, this workbook can help you. Of course, it was not designed to only tell you just, calm down or study harder, if only beating test anxiety was that simple. Instead, this is a step-by-step guide to help you explore your thoughts, feelings, symptoms, and beliefs so that you have the tools to take back your mind and your body so that you can walk into your next test feeling more confident, clear-headed, and ready to show what you know. This program uses a combination of self-reflection, mind shifts, practical study strategies, time management tips, and calming strategies, and calming techniques rooted in psychology. You'll explore the differences between internal and external pressure, learn how to identify self-sabotaging thought patterns, and practice tactics to reduce panic, perfectionism, and fear of failure. The ultimate goal is not to just pass a test, but to learn lifelong tools that are going to support you in your life, in your career, other high-stakes situations, and boost your belief in yourself so that you grow both academically and personally. You're not alone in this, and this workbook is your companion to help you turn your test anxiety into an action plan to tackle whatever hurdles are in your path in the road of life. So let's start with a little self-reflection about your own beliefs related to pressure and failure. Okay, so you're just gonna check yes or no. So the first one says, have you ever avoided pursuing a goal or opportunity because you feared failure? I checked yes. Number 2, do I believe that failure reflects negatively on my worth or abilities? We'll check yes for myself, but you can check whatever you want. Do I allow the opinions or imagined opinions of others to influence my decisions? For myself, I check no. Number 4, do I put high pressure on myself to succeed to the point that it creates stress or anxiety? Yes. Have I ever experienced anxiety in the days or hours leading up to an important test or evaluation? Do I have a plan or strategy for calming myself during high-stress situations like testing? I checked no because I didn't have a plan necessarily. I just kind of know psychology things and I implemented them. But it wasn't really a plan. It was just what I know to do because I support other students with these strategies. Do I often criticize myself? Have I sought resources like courses, tutors, or mentors when preparing for something important? I clicked no. But then now I'm thinking about it, I did pay for that test. So I did take a course and it helped me pass. Do I often criticize myself internally when I feel overwhelmed or unsure? Yes. For me, have I ever surprised myself by accomplishing something I once thought I couldn't do? Right? Have you? I hope you have. And can I think of a current goal or challenge where I can apply something from this story? It was my own story, so I clicked yes.